Probably takes about 15 seconds to delay.
All right. Good evening, folks. Welcome to, well, it's not Monday Night Law. This is, we'll dub this my old one, Friday Night Fun Night. But I have Jason with the People's Authority. I keep wanting to say his hardline. You keep
Formerly his hardline. Look,
formerly
I still got
his
the shirt.
hardline, but now it's the People's Authority.
Yep.
I've had Jason on with me before, and I've been on with him over on his platform, and we seem to hit it off pretty good, and we have great conversations here, and people have asked us to do another one, and it's with his work schedule, which finally changed, and now he's got Fridays off, so I'm not going to say this is going to be a every Friday night thing, but now that the weather's changing and we're sitting inside and having some warm coffee, trying to stay warm, nothing better to do, twiddle our thumbs, sit around, do nothing but BS and talk about current events and reassembling government de jure, the republic, folks. It's our republic if we can keep it. And all political power is inherent in the people. We have the right to alter, reform, or abolish anything and any time we deem it necessary, but we have to assemble the people. The people is where it's at. We, the people. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there that, I should say, a lot of men and women who've been deceived by this American state national stuff. Well, why doesn't it say all political power is inherent in the American state nationals? And I'm just going to throw this out there. National as a noun, a proper noun, as a status, didn't come into being, existence, until 1878. Think about that. How could that be a legitimate, lawful status in America when America started clear back in 1603 with the first charter of Virginia, and the first charter of Virginia in 1606 in Jamestown, Virginia in 1603. Law of Nations says a whole lot different about status in America, as Law of Nations is the law of nations, or the principles of the laws of nature applied to the conduct of nations. It's regarded as international law. It's even in the federal constitution about the law of nations. And then why does it say we the people? Inhabitants, the free citizens in the Articles of Confederation. It's almost like they read the law of nations. What do you think, Jason? Do you think our founders and even before that actually had read the law of nations and understood the law of nations?
Oh, you mean that?
Oh, look at that. The law of nations, or the principles of the law of nature as applied to the conduct of nations. It doesn't say that, the last part on there, but yeah, it's that's a fundamental law. That's why they call it law of nations. Just like common law has the word law in it, like laws of nature has the word law in it. Can you imagine that? Actual law?
Actual law, not legalese.
Not code.
Code. People get a kick when you say that.
I know. It's the code.
The code. Yeah, man. It's it makes me want to tear my hair out, and I know you're right up there with me because there's so many groups out there. I mean, we talk about it. I know you talk about it. I hear it on your show, which, by the way, I got to go back and listen to your Monday Night Law. Somebody here in the assembly, Kyle, was telling me, he goes, dude, you got to listen to Kirk's this past show. He was like, he hit it on point. Like, you got to hear it. I'm like, all right. I haven't been able to listen to anything because I've been bombarded with new trainees in my truck, and I don't want to make their mind explode on freaking day one by listening to Kirk's Law Corner or all the other stuff that I listen to. I'm like, what kind of crazy nut job have they got me in this truck with? But anyway, no, it's all kidding aside. It's frustrating because, you got the American States Assembly, right? I mean, you got the tactical civics. You got the bonds for the win with Mickey Klein, right? You got so many clowns out there
Yeah.
that want to do nothing but muddy the waters. And then you got this splinter off group. That's the most, in my opinion, this is the most dangerous group, is this splintered off group of the reprobates that we've had to deal with here, not only in Michigan, but I know California's had to deal with them, Montana. There's a few states.
Yeah.
I know that they're dealing with it. And that's honestly, in my opinion, I don't want to give them any credit or any type of, how do you want to say? I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to give them any type of credit by any stretch of the imagination. But if we're going to be really honest with ourselves, we really got to watch out for the splinter off group, because what they're doing is they're taking all the information that so many that came before us, like Destry, Paul, Robert Gilman, and his wife, Marilyn, who sunk her heart and soul into some of this stuff as well. Carl Miller.
Yep.
Carl Miller, right? These are the greats that have came before us. They have studied the law. They have gotten themselves entrenched in this to set this foundation up so that we, the people, can learn and be able to, well, carry the football further down the field and hopefully finally win this thing. I feel like we're like in overtime and like the scores are even, but like we're just, man, it's like, all right, this game has got to end so we can go on to the championship now. But this splintered off group, it really has been a big thorn in our freaking side. And I've a lot of them, I've said on my podcast, are in my own county. These people are just a big pain in the ass, if I can be completely honest with you. And it's just been, it's been a mess. But the fact of the matter is, they can keep doing their thing. They can keep playing house, and that's all they're doing. They're playing house. Right. They're no different than a de facto. There's no standing with these people. But I don't know. With that, I guess I yield on that thought.
Yeah, it's it detracts from what needs to be done, and the reality here is we've all been lied to. We've all been brainwashed and indoctrinated to believe this crap. And this goes into, even for myself, when, sitting in the jail cell in 1995 there, and I got screwed over, right? I basically had already I got a no proof of insurance ticket, and while I was in jail, was forced to basically go to trial on that. And I proved the cop didn't have probable cause to pull me over. Okay, so the case should, the so-called felony possession charge, which was all phony to begin with, should have all been dismissed, right? Because if you didn't have probable cause, you're done. So I called the public defender and said, hey, I've already proved the cop didn't have probable cause. And basically he just said, look, either you take a plea bargain or we'll go to trial. Because he's like, well, we don't have time to deal with that now. We're getting ready to go to trial. And I'm like, okay. What do you mean we don't have time to deal with this? It's done deal. He's like, well, I'll tell you what. We go to trial, I'll make sure that you lose. I'll make sure you get the maximum time in the penitentiary and blah, 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 blah. Or you can just take this plea bargain. And I'm like, they got me, right? They already got me in jail. So what am I going to do?
They painted you in a corner.
So, I was pissed, And I basically sat there in my jail cell, and I prayed to God, and I made a vow to God that I'd start studying law so that I wouldn't get screwed like that again. I would figure this stuff out and how to, effectively defend myself. And so I started studying the code, right? The so-called statutes, the Idaho Code, and started reading rules of procedure and kind of trying to figure some of this stuff out. And what I'm getting at is it's all about our source of law, what we're studying. And so essentially I gave myself a brainwashing and indoctrination to believing and giving credence to the code. Not realizing that, well, wait a minute, code is Roman civil law. It doesn't belong here. It's a foreign jurisdiction. It's a foreign law. We're supposed to have common law as our fundamental law. We're supposed to have the law of nations and the laws of nature as our fundamental law. Interesting. But it took me, several years to get to the point where, you know what? I'm going to go back in history and start reading through history. Magna Carta, and started going. And I found the one website that was very much like avalon.yale.edu, right? And was reading from that, and then all of a sudden that website just like shut down one day. I'm like, oh, all of my bookmarks and everything is just, none of them were valid. So I just started doing searches again for, like Magna Carta and that kind of stuff. And I mean, I found all sorts of, Texas Freedom School, 1215.org. I've been through all of those websites many of times throughout the years. I want to read actual documents from history and educate myself on history of law, what it said in history. And then what triggered me on that in part was Carl Miller when he was talking about succession of law. Well, that makes sense. You can't diminish a right through succession of law. It carries forward. You can't come forward with this new document and say, well, you no longer have this right, or this right doesn't work that way anymore. No. Rights are being fought for and declared that it's going to be this way from here on out. That's how this is, what I've discovered is this is what's happened over time, is fighting for our rights. And the Magna Carta was the pivotal document moment in history, because the people had had enough and went into King John's castle there and put a sword to his throat and said, look, you're signing this Magna Carta setting us free, or we're just going to kill you and go throughout the castle and kill your whole family and anybody who wants to stand with you, stand against us. In my mind, they should have just done that, because it's not any different than today. A bunch of sick Satanist frickin' pedophiles. And all of this stuff is just made to give themselves power to protect themselves from getting caught. That's all it really boils down to. And control. Well, they want the control so they don't get caught. It's implementing the fox guarding the hen house. So if you find out about something and you go tell on them, and, well, who are you going to tell? Well, the fox. The fox that's guarding the hen house. He ain't going to get anywhere. So, it's just, we've all been brainwashed and indoctrinated to believe this stuff, and we haven't done the deep dive and actual research of documents, legitimate documents from history. But when you do, there's a whole different picture that's painted. And it again, where we're at again today, this isn't the first time in history that we've been here, folks. This crap's been happening since clear back to 4000 BC. It's nothing new under the sun. There might be some
Bible.
Huh?
Oh, I was going to say the Bible was very clear on that too. It even said that.
Yeah. So here we are again, a dumbed down society. They've taken over the school education. They quit teaching this stuff. I keep bringing up that YouTube video that I saw when they were tearing down the statue of General Lee, and in the base down there they found this time capsule, and one of the books that's in there is 4th grade education on the law curriculum for school. 4th graders. Now, keep in mind, back in the 1700s and even into the 1800s, we had kids that were getting married at 14 years old.
That's crazy.
So by the time they were 12 years old, what we would consider finishing grade school, I'll just go ahead and say it, they were well educated by far in comparison to a 6th grader today, let alone a frickin' high schooler today. I mean, we've got kids graduating from high school that can't even frickin' read. I look at the one time that I had that little law seminar there, and it was explained to me about how they can't even comprehend the words. And we're talking 30-year-olds, right? Uh-oh. Saying the sound is bad.
Sound is bad. On YouTube?
I don't know. Probably over here on Telegram.
Telegram.
And then Laura Scott, you're going to get removed from here because you're not supposed to join that.
Somebody's making a bad move.
And same thing with Valerie Coulter.
Got some naughty people in the chat there.
Oh no, they're joining the group that says "Do not join." This is for comments, to store the comments. So, but yeah, people can't even frickin' read, dude.
Yeah, man.
Now I got somebody who says sound is fine. Okay, so
yeah. See, Kathy and Steven are saying sound is fine. Huh. Yeah, man. It's back to the education thing. I mean, that's the one thing that I'm kind of been happy to see old Blondie there. Good old DJT, right? Closing up the corruption of the Department of Education. There's so many people that I've seen people either excited about that or like, oh, that's such bullcrap. I'm like, well, why is it bullcrap? First off, it's not up to the federal government. Read your 10th Amendment. It's a state's right thing. It's a people in the states or a state's decision. Bottom line. Why should our money? And this is what I try to keep it simple with people because, like you said, somebody said here in the chat, I think it's on YouTube, somebody just said, here Mark Bone was saying, sometimes I feel like I'm talking with fourth graders. Dude, very, very true, because when you try to explain this stuff to people in a layman's term, and look, I'm not even going to pretend that I understand this. Kirk, you're like way above me when it comes to the law and different things. Like, I have a lot more catching up to do. I'll fully admit and own up to that for sure. Got a lot of learning to do.
Right.
But the little bit I do know, especially when it comes to the assembly, I obviously with the 21 requisitions that were issued to the military, I believe, I forgot what numbers. I know 21
requisition.
20, I'm trying to remember. 20 was redacted, either 20 or requisition 21. I think it was requisition number 21, and then like 12 through like 18. Yeah, because 19 and 20 were visible. But what I was able to read almost damn near fall in line with what Trump's been talking about with the abolition, getting rid of taxes, getting rid of the federal income tax, instituting a flat sales tax, right? Bringing in tariffs to operate government. Back to this Department of Education thing. Again, I always ask people, think about it. Why should our money, that's first off being stolen from us, if we're going to be absolutely honest with ourselves, taxes should not even be a thing. But they're taking our money from the state level, and now we're sending it all the way to D.C. for them to skim off however much they want off the top, and then what? They funnel it back to our state. Why do we need that? That makes absolutely zero sense.
It's about slavery, bro.
That's it. And people don't understand it. I'm like, we don't need government to be as big as it is. This is why we're reassembling the de jure, back to common law. Keep it simple, stupid, right? Absolutely. We don't need all these freaking ABC freaking NGO companies. And I'm like, when are people going to start seeing this and realizing it? And the fact that Trump came out saying that he's going to close the department, in his words, the corrupt Department of Education. I was like, dude, game on. I don't know. Did you hear that soundbite with RFK? He was RFK Jr. He was interviewed. I don't know how good the screen share would be with the audio.
Just make sure you share the audio.
Yeah.
There's a checkbox. When you go to screen share, there's a checkbox that says share the audio with it.
The share button that says it's like highlighted green, that button. Forgive me, I'm just kind of stupid with Zoom.
It's over off to the right.
Oh, here we go.
So just a quick shout out while Jason's working on that to Jax and Mark and Diesel D's, Mark Mon, some of the regular people here, and then there's some other people on tonight. So just a shout out to the regulars, and thank you all for being here. Oscar, Kathy Watson, Stephen Gale. There's quite a few of you here on the Telegram that haven't made any comments yet. But yep, just a shout out to the regulars there.
So where do I need to check? So I don't know. Can you see my computer screen with
Yep.
RFK right here?
Yep,
Okay,
sure can.
now I guess I'm gonna play it. See if you tell me if you hear the audio. Can you hear that? Were you able to hear that?
Negative.
Negative. Okay. Stop share. No. Let's see here. Hold on. You said there was a checkbox I needed to hit, right?
Yeah, when you go to share, before you click on the share, there's a checkbox. So you'll have to stop share.
Stop share. Okay.
And then hit the share button. Then
shared sound. There it is. I got
Yep.
you. I got you. Okay. Optimize. Should I hit the optimize for video sharing or no?
I haven't noticed any difference on that.
Okay. All right. Let's do this then. So share. All right. So listen to that. This is wild. All right. Hopefully this plays.
A lot of people think that Trump is a conventional
Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. Beautiful.
politician because the last time around he initially appointed a lot of very conventional people of kind
sure
of
did.
lobbyists, etc.
Yeah.
People don't remember almost his entire cabinet was gone within 2 years
Yes.
as he learned to govern, and he wants to do, he will do what he wants to do. And I spent 2 days with him recently, and he was saying things that were kind of shocking to me.
Now listen to this. This is wild.
He was saying things like that, the kind of change, the level of change that he wants to make in our government, I think is going to be unprecedented. And
Shocking to you in a good way?
yeah, in a good way, but just, that it's so impolitic. He's an impolitic guy, and I think he's a guy that does what he wants to do.
Well, can
And
I give you an
think
example?
he wants a revolution, and I think he's going to get one.
He wants a revolution. I think he's going to get one. What do you think he could?
I just lost your mic.
Oh, now I can't.
There you go.
Oh, there you are. I can
Okay.
hear you.
Your computer's just being
But did
slow.
you hear that though?
Yeah. Everybody on Telegram, could you hear that? The way I shared my screen share through Telegram is I have to click on share the system audio as well, so it picks it up.
I got you.
And then, of course,
But-
my Streamlabs picks that up already, so long as you share the audio.
But pretty interesting.
They heard it just fine.
Isn't that pretty interesting, though? He's talking about, I don't know, I would love to know what meeting that RFK was talking about, but, you could tell. This man has been in government, right? Corporate government for how long, right? And you could tell he was very shocked about what he discovered that Trump wants to do. Now, knowing what we know on this side of the fence as the assembly, with the 21 requisitions and the open letter that got, not open letter, but it was an open letter that we published, but it also went to Donald Trump. They got receipt of him getting it in hand, right? Everything that Trump has been talking about correlates with what the assembly put out with the issuance of those orders. And you could tell if I'm connecting these dots right, you could tell he's onto this now. He knows it. Because Trump has been what? Commander-in-chief for how long now? That's another mind blow a lot of people can't comprehend. But he's talking about a revolution here. And it's not going to be the bloody one that everyone keeps thinking, oh, there's going to be civil war. We're going to have a revolution. Well, yeah, but it's going to be a peaceful revolution. We're going to get the power back into our hands. That's the revolution we're talking about. Out with the de facto. Because if I'm not mistaken, Kirk, correct me if I'm wrong, but they basically instituted a new type of government, and you can't do that. That's a treasonous act, is it not?
Yep.
And that's what they did. They created
Yes.
a democracy.
Well, really, I mean, yes, but it's more they just put us back in under the monarchy, which is article the whole intent of Article 4, Section 4, and that domestic violence is internal insurrection, is to keep us from turning us back into a monarchy. That was the intent of writing Article 4, Section 4, to guarantee that republican form of government. And I'm going to remind people, we are a confederacy, a confederate republic. Just because we hold elections and we do things democratically does not mean that we're a democracy. Okay? So, the thing is this, and I've been covering Trump's executive orders, proclamations, memorandums, his speeches, and that kind of stuff since live here, starting out on Facebook, and then added YouTube has kind of got more into this stuff. But in September of 2017, and so especially with starting with the rule of law and all this stuff, Trump's executive orders, and Executive Order 13818. Blocking the property of those involved in serious human rights abuse and corruption. Okay, December 20th, 2017. And I told people then, this is a revolutionary war. Trump is going to take down worldwide corruption, the deep state, and try to explain to people about the Tri-City state, London, Vatican, and D.C., District of Columbia. So basically you have... London is the monarchy, the form of government, and the Vatican is your religion, back to Roman civil law, Catholicism as an ideology. And then D.C., District of Columbia, we became the world military, world police. Okay? And this is where we get into the military-industrial complex, NATO. And, did you catch the last, just a few days ago, Trump was talking about how he has rebuilt the military, our military, and they're ready to go. Now, I'll ask you, or, general public out here, the people, worldwide, doesn't matter, whoever's watching right now, I'll put this question out there. Have you ever heard Biden, Kamala, any of the Biden administration, any of them ever talk about Space Force?
No, never.
That's the military that Trump is talking about.
Executive Order, 19, I think? 19 or 20? It's one of those two. One of his Space Force, that basically the creation of a Space Force, and the other one was...
Well, the Space Force was actually already there.
Yep.
He just took it over and revamped it and took control of it. As Commander-in-Chief, he has that authority.
One quick second.
Yeah.
Lisa in Georgia was saying, maybe have Kirk announce how to join appropriately. It is confusing if they're new. So I guess Valerie Cutler, if I'm pronouncing it right, is a new coordinator for the Assembly in Colorado. Thank you, Valerie. She's trying to give her new instructions on how to get in, I guess. The Valerie.
We'll get into that stuff.
Okay.
Right now we're just kind of shooting the stuff. And we'll get into that. We're going to go, I'll open up the
10-4.
Restore-America.org and lead people to that website to get signed up. And welcome to what state was that? Did you say Colorado?
Colorado. Oh no, I meant in a telegram. Lisa in Georgia, with the Georgia Assembly.
Uh-huh.
I think that was one of the ladies that was in the wrong area on Telegram. She's trying to get back in to listen and watch. She's a coordinator for Colorado. The Valerie Cutler.
Oh, you know what? I accidentally removed her because it was showing that she had joined and she didn't. And then I looked back and I'm like, holy crap, a lot of people that are on right now, there's a whole list of them. Valerie, I will. Well, she can't probably hear me. Let me fix that real quick.
It happens.
Yeah, see, like it has a whole list of people, and they haven't joined, and I remember this before. I'm trying to remember how to get back to that.
No, but while you're doing that though, yeah, it's it I started thinking about something today, and it got me thinking. You remember Jade Helm 15?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Psychological operations, dude. Military operations.
Because I think what was it? It was Special Forces Command, SOCOM, right?
Yep.
And that spanned it over, I think, multiple states. Now, I'm just curious because they say it was training for unconventional warfare, and it's just interesting to see that's kind of what we're seeing now is an unconventional warfare. Because then you had Greg Abbott, right, the governor of Texas then, who was worried because the people of Texas were all concerned about the military implementing martial law, and obviously that came about to be nothing. But it was funny to see, I shouldn't say funny, maybe that's a wrong choice of words, but
Right.
interesting that Greg Abbott sent the Texas National Guard to go basically more or less spy on them to see what they're doing. Now, that 2015 year date is interesting because that spanned it from July to September. Now, what else happened that I remember that Destry talked about? He talks about numerously when all 50 governors got rounded up in Vegas and got sent to a base in Texas to inform them about the assemblies and that they're not to be touched. I started thinking about that. I'm like, okay, they had their Vegas meeting because I looked it up. The governors, I forgot what it's called, the Governors Association, whatever.
Yep.
Meeting, and it happened in February when they were in Vegas, and then later on that year in the summer. So if I did
Wasn't
my
that
right
like 2018? No, it's 2019, I believe.
15
Oh, was it? Oh, you're talking clear back that far before Trump.
before Trump.
Yeah.
This is after the order. Yeah, this is after 2013, and the Michigan General Assembly put out their order. Anyway, I bring that up because back to like Space Force and rebuilding the military, but getting the original military out of the hands of the deep state. And I thought about that. I'm like, okay, so Michigan assembles and settles. They do this rectification of states. They do all these things. And then in 2015, military rounds up all 50 governors from Vegas, brings them to Texas, basically gives them the whole spiel. You're to leave them alone. This is the people coming back to their power. And then 4 months after that, from that, for their February, it was like end of February. It was like for 2 days they were supposed to be in Vegas. But then 4 months later, into the summer of 2015, all of a sudden, Jade Helm 15 pops off and goes on for 2 months. And I'm like, huh. And it was all special forces operators, Marines, Army, Navy, and Air Force. And so when I looked at that, and then I hear the story of Greg Abbott sending this Texas Guard to more or less see what the hell the military's doing, that tells me right there, there's no congruency between these two entities. I mean,
Little something going on there, different between the two.
I'm just saying.
But think about and that's one of Trump's. I don't want to say it was an executive order. It was like a memorandum that the military is to start training for deep underground warfare.
Subterranean, yep.
So, and I was putting this stuff out when it was coming out, when it was happening. And trying to break this stuff down so Grandma could understand it about what's really going on. And, I'm like, what's underground, folks? Aside from what's labeled as DUMBs, deep underground military bases, what did they just find under P. Diddy's house? Do you know that they found kids and people in cages? Some were dead, some were alive. Okay? That crap's all over the place. There's tunnels underneath the border so they could, smuggle drugs, arms, human trafficking. Tunnels are big enough to drive semi-trucks through. Okay? And then I watched something from Gene Decode several years ago now. And he was showing some old maps. That there's like 3 different layers of tunneling. And like some of it's like 600 miles deep. The old ancient tunnels. Now this is, I know we're going to get a little crazy here. Some people not even wear this and think I'm loopy or whatever. But there's aliens underground. Okay. So some of those deep tunneling, ancient tunneling, and there's cities, underground. Thriving cities, they have trees, and it looks like what you would live up on the surface here. So that's part of some of the other things that are going on intergalactically. And I know that this is, I don't really talk about this stuff much on here because I don't want to get labeled as a crazy nut job, but
I was gonna say you're getting into some fringe areas that a lot of people might be like, eh. Now I'm good with it.
Right? Well, some of the stuff that I'm teaching, basic stuff, law stuff, I bring it up on the screen and read from it. So anybody who wants to try to disagree with me, it's not my opinion. These are facts. Yeah. On the screen, I'm reading directly from the document itself. So it's not my opinion. And if you try to disagree with me or fight with me on it, you're going to lose big time. But this is the fringe stuff. And this is getting out there. But it's even in the Bible. The Yankee, Anunnaki. It's...
Well, even in the 7 Apocrypha books that are missing from the original 66 that we all see in the standard Bible, a lot of the Catholics, I mean, I know we have
Book
our
of
views
Enoch,
of the Catholic...
Book of Samuel.
Yeah, but even, I want to say it's the wisdom either of Ben Sira, which can be also called ecclesiastical, or there's the book of actual wisdom. But anyway, it's interesting because when I've read through all 7 Apocrypha books, and it even talks about, and it makes me wonder if this is one of the reasons, because I think all 7 of these missing books that aren't in your standard Bible in most religions, there's a lot of good stuff in there that's almost, I would say, dare I say, as relevant as reading Proverbs, Psalms, or even Deuteronomy, because there is so much to unpack in those books. It talks about more deeply on child sacrifice and what these people do and the abominations that they have engaged in beyond that's what's already in the 66 books already that most people know that you can find in your typical hotel drawer. I mean, it goes in much further detail about this. And when I try to, I told you before we hit record, right before you went live, my neighbor and friend across the street, I tried red pilling him about what's going on with the elites in the Hollywood and all that other stuff, and to kind of spare details. He didn't want to hear it. He just kept saying, "Man, dude, you're giving me anxiety. I don't know if I really want to hang out, really." And come a few years later, this stuff is starting to make mainstream media out in the news. It's coming out. And here they're coming over, we're having our board game night. We play Catan and other stuff like that. Sometimes we'll turn on the, Nintendo Switch, play a little Mario Kart, and we just BS and have conversations. And they're like, like I said, it started off by his wife saying, "Guys, have you noticed that there's 2 different looking Bidens on TV?" And I'm like, me and my wife look at each other like, well, no shit. Really? What do you think we've been saying this whole time? Right. Oh yeah, it just
and you can't pop off and say, "Oh, you just now noticed," because they're waking up, and you don't want to stifle people waking up by playing Captain Obvious.
And that's just
everybody wakes up in their own time.
Yeah, And that's the thing. When people who are already awake, they're like, dude, when's this gonna happen? Like, come on, let's just freaking lights out. Let's just go balls to the wall. It's like, no, 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 no. Because if you did that, we'd have chaos, and we
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be able to come back from it. You have to reverse engineer the brainwashing, right?
Yep. We have to undo the brainwashing and indoctrination. And this is part of what I've talked about before, is the fact that, Trump towards the end there, 2020, that he had a difficult decision to make.
Yep.
And the first part of that is the fact that I think what he was referring to was to pull the plug then, to do it. But not enough people were awake yet, and I would think that what they were thinking was that people would freak out, and we would have civil war chaos, right? Because we would have good American patriots that would probably take up arms against good people coming in, taking down corruption, thinking this is Agenda 21 happening, right? Because there's a lot of the patriot groups out there that are very well aware of Agenda 21, as well as Agenda 2030. So, and then Trump said, well, this is much bigger than they thought. That was the next comment that he made. So it's like, okay, what I've concluded is that basically Trump allowed this stuff to happen. I'm not going to say the actual EF that happened there in 2020, but allowed that stuff to happen to buy himself 4 more years to try and wake people up and take care of things on the world stage that still needed to be taken care of. Now, a lot of people don't understand the complexity of dealing with the international banking cartels, the international drug cartels, and I'm talking about the pharmaceutical drug industry. I'm not talking about cocaine, heroin, and that kind of stuff, which actually still does tie into the pharmaceutical drug industry because a lot of the narcotics are made from heroin. Well, where do you think that stuff comes from? Poppy. From the fields down in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? A lot of the pharmaceutical drugs are made from that. So, and again, the pharmaceutical drug stuff is it's all synthetic, right? So it's not, there's no real medicine. That's why it's called drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. But so this is what my thought was, is that to buy more time to take care of what he needed to take care of and wake the people up. And some of the things I've discovered where they kind of hinting about wanting this kind of a number of like 70 to 80% of the people that support Trump, so that it's not much of a shock listening. I mean, Trump's just letting it out now. This is what I'm doing when I get in. This is what I mean, he's been doing it for like the last year. Letting people know what he's going to do when he comes in. And you catch it sometimes if you're listening real close what he says, when I get back in. And then one time he even said, well, it might even before the elections. So people don't understand we're at war. Trump is the commander-in-chief. There is no president. Trump did the involuntary bankruptcy on the United States, Inc., June of 2020. Done. There is no government. I mean, in the sense of the way things used to be. Because the corporation is bankrupt. You can't make any new contracts when you're in bankruptcy. Okay? So, contract, an oath of office is a contract. So we're under a continuity of government, a provisional government set up by the commander-in-chief. This is Texas v. White under Article 4, Section 4, the powers of commander-in-chief, not president. Separation between president and commander-in-chief. It's like it's two different hats. One you got the presidential hat, the other one's a military hat. And people don't understand that separation, but we're about to really see it, because this goes back to, Attorney General Barr there when he was in front of Congress there and was and letting them know that the executive branch was going to start exercising powers that properly belong to the executive branch, and the judicial branch doesn't have a say in it. Period. That's what's coming. It would have been too much back then. Now, enough people have had it and have woken up to, the corruption of, say, FBI, CIA, the EPA, the DOJ. Oh gosh, we'll get into that in a minute. But these three-letter agencies and stuff. One of the recent cases there, the Supreme Court overturning the Chevron deference. Allowing these executive agencies to dictate to the judicial branch and interpret supposedly the laws of their own creation. But the fact is this all goes back to the Administrative Procedures Act of 1946. And this is another thing that Attorney General Barr was talking about at that particular point in time, was that, well, the legislature creates these agencies, and then they go over to the executive branch to be executed, and then they start exercising powers that properly belong to the legislative branch. And he calls them interagencies. Well, that's all the Administrative Procedures Act, folks. That shifted the power from the legislature to the executive, and they call it rulemaking, but they make their own policy. And then they have administrative review. So here's another fox guard in the henhouse. And guess who was behind the Administrative Procedures Act of 1946? Any guesses out there? Jason? People? Give you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. You got one guy over here in Telegram, he nailed it right off the bat. You can't see it unless you're on there, on my Telegram. Bar. It's the bar.
Oh.
They totally set that all up, orchestrated, perpetrated the Administrative Procedures Act, and then presented that to Congress. I have, thanks to Rod Class, I actually have the congressional acts and the whole plan from the bar. So there's the bar for you. Subverting due process of law, subverting our form of government. But it all stems from the Reconstruction Acts of 1871. It's all been downhill since then. It wasn't even all that good since 1812. But it's time, folks. It's time for we, the people. This is another opportunity in history for us to set things straight. It's kind of a factory reset.
It's funny you say that, actually, because when I keep trying to explain to people how they need to have like cash, silver, and stuff like that on hand, I tell them, I said, when this reset does occur, I said, we're going back to a silver and gold standard. We're going to get back to a constitutional money. But there's going to be a slight little period where we're going to have our crap turned off. Like, remember when that CrowdStrike thing happened? And it was like on a Friday. Like, half the world couldn't operate. Where I work at, our PeopleNet computers on our trucks, we couldn't log on to them because they're based off a Microsoft platform.
Oh, wow.
When we got to the loading rack in North Muskegon there to load at the Marathon Terminal, couldn't load because they're all operating on the Microsoft type platform. So we couldn't even load our fuel on our trucks. And then to add insult to injury, when we were able to finally, the Speedway gas stations and other customers that we service, some of them couldn't even accept cash until Sunday afternoon. Couldn't accept card till Sunday afternoon. So they had to only take cash.
Right.
All of that Friday, all of that Saturday, and they were able to start doing card starting that Sunday afternoon. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I always tell people, when that happens and they flip that switch, I said, what happens when you do an update on your computer, and it's a significant update? it always asks you, do you want to restart your computer now or later? But either way, you're going to need to do one. I said, well, that's what's going to happen. Well, when you restart the system, it's going to turn off for a very momentary time. And when it does, you might want to have a few bucks on hand just to get you through that 5, 6, 7, 10-day period. Who knows how long it'll be? Maybe it's only going to be 48 hours for all I know. I don't know if enough people are sufficient enough in cash and silver to get them through even 5 days, much less 10 or a month. You know what I mean? But I keep telling people, when that system resets, it's going to reset, and it has to power down for a bit. And then what? I think that's when crap is really going to get real for a lot of people. And I always tell people, I said, this is one of the reasons why I keep a ton of cash and silver, because I want to make sure my neighborhood is calm, chill, and not going nuts, because the last thing I feel like having to deal with is having to put a bullet in a neighbor who is just trying to feed their kids. And because you know what happens when people get hungry, Kirk, right? I mean, we see it in the movies. They go nuts. They go animalistic. I don't want to have that on my conscience. So given the fact that there is even food still in the stores, I don't know. But that's why I also like to buy a lot of rice, right? Dave Ramsey style way of living. Rice and beans and rice.
That's right.
That's why I got that shallow well that's tapped in the backyard for water. At least, hey, you need water? They shut off the water? Go out back. Go pump whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Something is better than nothing. And so I always tell people, you need to be prepared. You know, going back to like what you were saying with like, you know, just what's going on with Trump and how this is about to come out. I saw on Newsmax a couple days ago, it said right here, the transition team for Donald Trump. In fact, you mind if I do a quick screen share and then I'll turn it back off again?
Sure, go right ahead.
I'll show you real quick. Right here. There's no audio. Share. But right here, the transition team for Donald Trump is reviewing a draft executive order that would establish a warrior board of former generals and non-commissioned officers with the power to review. I love this. With the power to review 3- and 4-star officers and recommend their removal.
Yep.
According to a report. That's beautiful. And I'm going to stop the screen.
It's not showing, but yeah.
Oh, it's not? Oh, crap.
Yeah, it says you've started screen sharing, but it hasn't actually implemented it. So your computer's being a little bit slow over there. But yeah, that's that. Think about it. And I think it was Oscar that shared that with me, and then I shared it out here on Telegram. Did you kill your screen share?
I did, but now I'm kind of frozen in the water here.
Yeah.
I can't stop screen share. Can you kick me out of it?
Yep.
Kick me out of that.
There we go.
I might have to log off and log back in.
Oh, wow. I kicked you off and it's still hanging on your end. I even said, yeah, I wanted to stop your screen share. And I actually did my screen share. Yeah, it's showing out here that my screen is sharing. Wow. There we go. Yeah, that was crazy. It was still hanging even after you left.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not doing screen share anymore. I apparently pissed it off. I gotta get something up back here, but so give me a second. But go ahead.
How much RAM you got, and is it full?
You know, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm operating an MSI freaking laptop with Linux on it, which operates a lot better than freaking Windows. Man, you're asking a lot of nerdy questions that I don't have the answers to. I'm just gonna move.
Well, and then you're on a laptop too, so You're limited on your video RAM, and
I might need to upgrade this bad boy.
get yourself a desktop, brother.
It's technically a gaming computer. I mean, this thing actually has been pretty impressive. I'll be honest with you, it has been. So, but this is, the minute I did the screenshots, I don't know if it's a Zoom app because I don't have any other problems with other apps when I run multiple things. So, I don't know. Maybe it's the Linux version of Zoom that's kind of messed up. But anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was quite interesting, though, that what Trump wants to do there, to set up a warrior board, right, of former generals and non-commissioned officers to basically get rid of, because I've been seeing a lot of that lately.
Think about this for a minute.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound like a grand jury?
Yep. Yes, it does.
That's right.
Yes, it does. Common law, maybe, perhaps.
And in this instance, he's picking, previous military personnel who understands military law, right, and how things are supposed to be done in the military. So they will easily spot when these military guys, generals, whoever they're investigating, have usurped their powers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what that was?
Like Oscar's saying over here, civil power over the military. Imagine that. Because what is he saying? Former officers, generals, and non-commissioned officers, NCOs.
Yep, former generals, not officers. Yep.
Trump's implementing the common law to provide oversight like it's supposed to be. Independent civilians providing oversight. That's the grand jury, folks.
Yep.
It's happening. It's happening at the highest level.
That's right.
It's being implemented. Now, this is what happens when we, the people, reassemble. The people are supposed to be the grand juries. Okay? We have to build the pool of we, the people. Once we have the pool of the people, which includes qualified electors to be on a grand jury or a petite jury, we get to start implementing and bringing back our true Confederate Republic that was even prior to our republic being created, clear all the way back to even in England, back to the Magna Carta of 1215, chapter 61, with the grand jury. Okay, that's how long ago the grand jury was implemented and started, where the people have the power over the grand jury. Okay, so it's just one of those little tiny pieces of a 10,000 piece puzzle, folks. This right here that we're talking about, this warrior panel, this warrior board, calling it a board, it's a grand jury to do investigations to see if these guys are exceeding their authority, trespassing the law. And it's going to be done by civilians that are previously were in the military. So who better to provide oversight of military members that are in the military currently taking actions, to provide oversight of that, than those that used to be in the military who know how things are supposed to be. Imagine that. And with, and I saw this question earlier about what we thought about the Trump's nominees. This is going to get good, folks. I'm not kidding. The whole DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, the EPA. This is right out of West Virginia versus the EPA. This case that I have here, and Supreme Court of the United States of America already said that Congress had no authority to create these three-letter agencies. So that's coming. All of this Department of Education, Trump's already talking about getting rid of it. Because this is a power that belongs to the people. Congress, federal government, has completely usurped its limited powers. Where I challenge any man out there, you smarty pants out there, members of the bar, or anybody else, law guru type out there, somebody want to just point to that emolument and grunt from the Constitution where it says Congress can create executive agencies?
Nowhere.
I'll give you a hint. Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state. A well-regulated militia. Why doesn't it say police? Why doesn't it say FBI? Why doesn't it say EPA? Why doesn't it say CIA? Why doesn't it say FDA? Any of those? The BATF. Why does it specifically state a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state? Because we're not supposed to have standing armies, no armed bodies of men other than the militia. And there's three parts to the militia. First, the militia is composed of the body of the
People.
The people themselves. That's the second part of the Second Amendment. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, because the people is the militia. From the pool of the people, the militia, we pull them into the organized militia, the well-regulated militia, which is the military. We're supposed to have an army, armed men, armed body of men, for the land forces, and a navy for admiralty jurisdiction out on the water, maritime, marine time, water. That's it. Now, since we've gotten into planes, okay, now we have an air force, so I get that. And then the Marines really were long before our republic. The Merchant Marines was created in 1553. Been around a long time, long before. And in fact, the Marines, Merchant Marines, were actually involved in our revolution. Now, Derek Johnson tried to say that the Army was the first one called. Nope, that would be incorrect. The Merchant Marines were the first to be called. Then the Continental Army. Okay, let's get our facts straight here. The truth. Now, I still give props to Derek Johnson because he's done a lot of exposing the truth out there as well. But he's, right when he first started coming out and hitting the scene there, and he was claiming he's the only one that's ever doing this, talked about this stuff. And I posted a couple of comments on there and said, dude, I've been putting this stuff out since September of 2017. Long before you even thought about coming out here. And then he came out and said, well, I guess there's some other people that have talked about this, but not very many. Well, yeah, I agree. Not, as far as I know, I was the only one talking about this stuff as it was coming out. At the time. Clear back to September of 2017. And those that have been following me since back then know that I've talked about this stuff for that long. I've showed the executive orders on the screen. In fact, one of my episodes in my educational series went over this stuff. Compiled it. Kathy Watson, yep, I know. Kathy Watson's one of them that was been around. She's been around for a long time. So is Diesel D's. Right? I like Diesel D's comment out here on YouTube. Wait until America finds out that only the people can vote and only the people can qualify as an elector. So if you're not in the pool of we the people, you don't get to vote. If you're not in the pool of we the people, you don't even get to be considered to be elected to any position in our republic. So, again, you got to push this, bro. My fellow man and woman out there, we the people need to come together. We need to reassemble government de jure, lawful government. And that is what Trump said at his inauguration speech clear back in January 20th of 2017, that he's putting the power back into the people's hands. What power is he talking about? All political power is inherent in the people. Okay? So if you're not one of the people, you don't have any political power. You can't vote, and you can't be considered as a qualified elector to be elected as a state legislator, whether you're in the House or in the Legislative General Assembly, which is considered the House, which is composed of the representatives and senators, or any part of the executive branch, or any part of the judicial branch of government.
Let me ask you a question. Back to that board, right, that Trump was talking about. And actually, let me actually expand on that with a question, right, about only the people, right? If you're part of the body politic of the people, right, is when you're able to do these things and be able to perform your civic duty, have the privilege to perform these civic duties. It almost makes me wonder if that's one of the reasons why David Straight, aka Crooked and company, among others, are trying to do what they're doing to try to get people away from that system. I mean, he's steered millions upon millions upon millions away, which is amazing to me. I mean, how do you gain that much influence and get that much trust to get people to part ways with that much money and to get them to believe in this pipe dream? I mean, I don't know. I don't get it, but I guess I leave that question out there. But back to that board thing, have you been seeing a lot of news and articles? Like I posted not too long ago on Telegram. It says like right here, nuclear missile maintenance at Maelstrom fired after investigation. I think this is Jeremy Russell, a commander who oversaw all the nuclear missile maintenance at Maelstrom Air Force Base in Montana, had been fired from his role following a basically they're saying loss of confidence. I've been seeing a lot of these let goes due to loss in confidences. Why would they put out there just a loss in confidence? I mean, I'm just curious. Somebody who's been in the military and probably knows a lot more people in the military, I want to know your perspective on that loss of confidence thing.
Well, I know, back up a little bit and kind of give me because I was kind of reading comments, so I didn't catch the bigger picture of what you were referring to.
So the most recent one that I saw was there was a nuclear maintenance, missile maintenance. Who is this? Jeremy Russell, I believe is his name. He was a commander who oversaw all the nuclear missile maintenance at Maelstrom Air Force Base in Montana, and he had just been fired after an investigation, but they won't give the details. They just say due to loss of confidence. And I've been seeing a lot of this happen in the Navy, in the Coast Guard. In fact, somebody in the Grand Haven Coast Guard, well, I forgot his name now, but fairly high up, top brass there in this local station here, got let go. I believe it was last year for loss of confidence. So my question is do you think, and I have my speculation, and that's all I have is speculation, that these are the types of people that are getting let go because they have engaged in either crimes of corruption or human rights abuses, a.k.a. Executive Order 13818, and this is kind of part of what's going on the broader scale. So when we see these news stories of loss of confidence, these are just scumbags being let go for that, their crimes?
You spot on, brother. That's it. You know, this is the thing about politics, is the, politically correct, being nice, and not letting the cat out of the bag, right? Military operations, psychological operations, no less, is, just a lack of confidence here. You're being let go. The truth is what you were saying there, involved in some corruption, shady conduct. How about transporting illegals? How about being involved in human trafficking, arms dealing, money laundering, drug dealing? I mean, this stuff's been coming right through our military bases. I mean, it's so entrenched in everything. Our local police, our local sheriffs, the FBI, the CIA, the military, they're all involved. Mass amounts of people are involved in this child pedophilia, kidnapping, human trafficking for men, women, and children for whatever purpose you can think of. Not just the sexual side of things, but slave labor, the sexual side, for organ harvesting, eating. It just, we were talking about earlier was being too much for that guy that you were talking to. I was talking with somebody here just a few weeks ago about some of this stuff, the child pedophilia and the satanic rituals and how they're eating the babies and, they're torturing them to get their adrenaline up and then draining the blood out of it and spinning it up and separating the adrenaline from the blood, and they call it adrenochrome. And she just started wincing and is like, okay, stop. I can't take anymore. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's right. You're not where I'm at, and I forget where I'm at. It's like,
You're
this is
talking
just
Neo.
like off the shoulder, off the cuff for me. But for people that this is the first time that they've heard it, their minds start having a freaking meltdown. Literally, like this is the truth coming to them, and it's too much for their mind to handle. Which goes back to why I think Trump did what he did and said that this was, much bigger than they thought, and he had a difficult decision to make because not enough people were awake enough to this stuff. And why they're using those terms like, that they're just incompetent or what, these soft, nice terms, instead of coming out and telling the truth, because it's too much for the general population. Even if you have just a modicum of being awake to child pedophilia, child trafficking, the satanic ritual stuff, you kind of know a little bit about it, it's not going to be as shocking than somebody who doesn't have, even for myself, right? I didn't know that stuff was going on the deeper end of things. I knew about human trafficking, okay, for a long time. But to get into the satanic rituals and that kind of stuff, that didn't come around until around 2012-ish. Obama, when I started finding all this stuff on YouTube. And like I've said before, even on my YouTube channel, my personal private one, I had all these videos saved. I was sharing them on my Facebook page. I started kind of doing that kind of deep dive research back in 2009. And I was sharing this stuff on my Facebook page. Now, granted, I only had like 56 friends, so it wasn't no big deal. Until I started getting into doing lives and, getting up there around 3,000 followers and friends, and it just became overwhelming for me. So, but the thing is it's just too much for most people's brains to take in all at once. It's an overload. And just like you experienced with your friend there, that it's just, okay, you have to stop, dude. I can't take any more in. My brain just, hold on, needs to go on pause and deal with this new information. Need to go sleep on it and literally download this into their memory and kind of process it and come back in a week and go, okay, whew, all right, that was, it's just like a computer. You've got your processor, right, that has to process all this information. Your RAM, random access memory, is your awake. This is where we get into, when you get past 72 hours without sleep, your RAM starts getting full and it needs to restart. It needs to reboot. And the way our brains reboot is by going to sleep. So it takes that random access memory that's right here in the forefront that you've just taken in since the last time you've slept. When you shut down your computer, all of what's in the RAM gets put onto the hard drive. And then it shuts down. Then when you start your computer back up, all of that stuff comes right back, except for what's obviously has to be closed, programs that need to be closed. But anything that you've saved, right? Like a Microsoft Word document that you've been working on and you saved, but it's still open. When you close or reboot your computer or shut that down, all of that gets shut down, but the saved information is written to the hard drive. And it's already there, but in essence, what's in RAM has to go in our brain. It gets cataloged. It's just like a filing system, just like your computer, whether it's Microsoft Windows, whether it's Apple, Mac, Linux. It's all by a file. And that's exactly how our brains work. Imagine that it's all designed basically how our brains work. So that's the problem. It is a lot exactly. It's a lot to process. And our processing unit here, our brain, can only process so much information so fast. So that's what's happening. Is we have people that, this new information, and it just gets overwhelming, and it's like, okay, stop. They need to take a break, sleep on it, process it, and then that's where you get into the comprehension of it, and then understanding it. So, right. Comment over here on Telegram from Sarah Wall. The COVID crap helped to waken many, but still so many asleep. I agree. It definitely had its pluses with the whole shutdown of everything, but that's in my mind a part of what the plan was. There was to shut it all down.
Oh. And it's interesting because I think that's where a lot of operations also kind of had to take place too, when you got everybody in, because, if you got people out and about, I mean, I won't forget it as a fuel hauler. Granted, I don't know what the hell we were hauling fuel for. I don't know, maybe reserves. I don't know. But I remember driving down I-96, picking up a load of ethanol, having to come back west to the terminal to offload ethanol. 10 o'clock in the morning, typically, just freaking tons of cars. When you're the only rig on the road, and when I say only rig, I'm talking only vehicle. That's cars. I was the only freaking rig on the road for at least 20 minutes before I saw my first vehicle or truck or that may have been going by. There's something that kind of messes with your mind.
Yeah.
Because you're like, damn it,
this isn't normal.
It was apocalyptic. It was apocalyptic because my mind is processing. It's a Monday morning. It's 10 o'clock on a Monday morning. Most 10 o'clock Monday mornings, there's an ass load of vehicles on this highway. And there is not one except me. And there's something that just did something to me at that point in time. I'm like, what happened? But it makes me wonder, before that happened, my wife, she found a story where, and maybe you heard this, Kirk, but it was at the tail end of 2019 going into 2020. This is before COVID became a thing. But there's a story about how over 400, well, at least 400 CEOs of big companies just all of a sudden stepped down, including one with the company that I work for, which shall remain nameless. Yeah. In fact, the company went through a lot of overhaul. As a matter of fact, and in fact, too, I was going to tell you, too, I found the other one in Grand Haven Coast Guard, back to the loss of confidence thing real quick, just a quick little sidebar. It was Chief Petty Officer Mark Moore, with the U.S. Coast Guard here in Grand Haven. Same thing, got let go for loss of confidence. But there's many more I found like that. But anyway, back to all these CEOs. Mm-hmm. It was interesting because our company that I work for went through so many different people that cycled in and out. There's a lady who's in part of the L&D division, the learning and development. She came from the pharmaceutical industry. Now, I was trying, as you were talking, I was trying to go through my Telegram back like 7, 8, 9 months ago. I'm trying to recall there was a post, and I remember I posted it. I had the name of this top brass general or whatever his name was, but he was definitely out of the Pentagon. But we have this class called HAZWOPER. So when you're in hazmat hauler, you have to do an annual class called HAZWOPER to keep you up to snuff on hazardous material, handling, so on and so forth.
Right.
Well, during our 15-minute break, she was talking to me and the two other gentlemen that were taking this class, and she had exposed that she was, and I say exposed, in her conversation basically let out that she was in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm like, really? She goes, oh, yeah. She goes, the crap they do over there, she goes, I could tell you so much, but I can't because I actually had to sign an NDA after I got fired. And the company, I'll have to ask her, if I don't find the post, I'm going to see if I can get that again. The name of this top brass guy, I'm going to tell you the story, but I'm going to get the name again. And next time we talk, I'll get you the name of the pharmaceutical company that she worked for. It wasn't a big one. It wasn't like Pfizer, but they had like 3,800 people or 2,800 people. It was relatively small compared to the big dogs. But her and her manager, she was saying they were walking down the hallway when she was still working there. Now, this was late 2019 going into 2020. And this person, this top brass gentleman, service member, was walking by. And she looked at her manager and said, what is he doing here? Like, I've recognized him from TV. And again, if I wish I had the name in front of me. If I said the name, you know exactly who it was. What is he doing here? And all her manager said to her is, shit's about to get real. And then the first wave of 500 people got let go that had probably nothing to do with any type of crimes or anything like that. They just let go, right? And next thing you know it, she's having to sign an NDA about basically not saying anything about what's going on. Now, it's not out of the norm for them to have military come in to help veterans get a job. Like, that wasn't out of the norm.
Right.
But this gentleman, whoever the guy that I can't recall his name, and I'm going to find it because I have it on here. But long story short, that's how she came over to the gas and oil industry, because pharmaceutical, everything was starting to come down. And it's just really interesting to kind of hear these little stories from different people that are in different industries, and you're just kind of piecing the puzzle together. Like, you have a general idea of what the image is looking like, but you don't have enough puzzle pieces to get the finer details. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a mass exodus there around the beginning of 2019 when the manual for courts martials and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the amendments that Trump made there to that stuff, came effective January 1st, 2019, which in part was, bringing back executions for treason and updating the manual for courts martials. Basically, if you're involved in commerce, or if you're a member of either the legislative, executive, or judicial branch, you're under admiralty jurisdiction. I don't think many people comprehend how that works in the Constitution, the federal Constitution. Article 6, Clause 3, it says all the aforementioned senators and representatives, so Article 1, and all the state legislators and all executive and judicial, both state and federal, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. So they're bound by the Constitution. What jurisdiction is enumerated in the Constitution? Can you answer that question?
What jurisdiction is enumerated?
Yep. As it is written in the federal Constitution, what jurisdictions are enumerated?
I don't know.
Article 3, Section 2, Admiralty and Maritime Jurisdiction.
Really?
That's right. So if you're bound by the federal Constitution, which, if you're a member, whether you're elected or appointed into a position of public trust, you are subject to admiralty jurisdiction. That is military law, because you're a public servant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So a lot of people don't grasp this concept, but it's a fact. of law, the supreme law of the land. We, the people, require all public servants to take that oath. Okay? So, Mark Bond, that would be incorrect. There is no common law jurisdiction enumerated in the Constitution. Show me. Cite it. Not to pick on you, brother, but facts are facts.
Comment law is what you're saying? And
what was it? Brother Mark Bond out here. Good man. I've talked to him.
Yeah.
But he says common law and water. No. It's Admiralty and Maritime. Article 3, Section 2.
Yeah, let's see right here. It says...
Now, Article 7 of the Bill of Rights, yes. But I'm specifically referring to the Constitution itself.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it says right here, the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and councils, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of a different state, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects.
Admiralty jurisdiction.
But yeah, you're right, brother. What's his name? Mark, you said? Because, yep, common law, that's, yeah, an article, or a article. Well, I guess, well, but yeah, and Amendment number 7 there, you know.
Article the 7th.
Article the 7th talks
of the
about
original Bill
law.
of Rights.
Yep.
Not the 7th Amendment. That's
correct.
That's shmoo.
Yep, shmoo, shit made up. But that's right, yeah. I mean, I've read that. I just, one of those things I haven't retained.
Right. So the thing is that's what's really going on here and what's about to happen and has already been kind of happening behind the scenes. Is, you know, it hasn't made the mainstream media for damn sure, but many people have already been arrested and taken to Gitmo.
Oh yeah.
Some of them already been ultra Gitmo'd and hung or shot or euthanized. There's been a lot of executions that's already happened. So, all right, we're I don't particularly care about the time, how much time we spend here, but typically do 2 hours. So I would like to kind of try to move on to the restore-america.org website, and let's kind of. Wow, we've actually got some pretty good numbers. I'm showing 69 over here. I'm showing
60 on YouTube,
60 on Rumble, and I can never tell here on Telegram. I always defer to somebody who's on Telegram that can see it because it doesn't show it on mine unless I count the list, which I guess there's only about 17. Oh, what a good number, eh? 17.
That is a great number.
All right, 17 over here on Telegram.
I'm with you on the 2 hour mark. But yeah, let's get into that Restore America. In fact,
I got the website pulled up here.
Yep.
So I'm going to drag this over here, and then I'll do a screen share so we all get to see this. And I'll go ahead and share the sound just in case, even though the way I'm picking it up, it should automatically. Okay, so folks, this is something that Destry and some other folks have put together, this website, and it's had just another major update to the website. It's still fairly brand new. So for the new people out there, might be new to this, new to you, these are some of the people that have we've kind of previously discussed about Destry and Paul and the Michigan General Jural Assembly. You know, this is clear back to like 2012 for these guys, with Carl Miller being involved and all that good stuff. So these guys have been in this for a long time. and trying to bring, the Americans together to reassemble this government de jure, the lawful government. And I'm the coordinator for Idaho, so I'm trying to bring people. It's hard. I thought it would have been super easy to get people together to do this. It's not as simple and easy as I thought it was going to be. But I tell you, I'm really, really starting to push hard this stuff, and I'm starting to get some people interested here in Idaho, and there's a couple of other people. I can't remember what her Gail. I've got it over here. Anyways, some people from Oregon that moved to Idaho, so gonna try and get me connected up with those. But this particular website here, restore-america.org. And when you, I don't know, maybe it still does since the update. Let's see if it doesn't. It's not popping up. There we go. Down. Okay. Yep. So just being on here, start scrolling down a little bit on the website, on the homepage, it's going to pop this sucker up. Okay. Restore America interest form. Interested in learning more or joining our assembly conference calls? Fill out this form and we will get you plugged in. Okay. So first and last name, email, phone number, what state you're from, and would you be willing to be a state coordinator if your state has not assembled? If you don't have one already, and there's a few states out there that do not have coordinators yet. And then, how did you hear about us? Rumble, X, Google, Billboard. Okay, right now, if you're watching right now and this is the first time and you want to do this, put in there Kirk's Law Corner. Even add, say, with Jason for tonight. Okay? But get that submitted out there so we can get you plugged into the other people that are already assembling in your area. Okay? We really need to do this, folks. It's not a matter of if we want to do this. We have to do this. Unless we want to just be stuck with this corrupt government, de facto government, and stuck under martial law, because make no mistake, we're already at war. We're already under martial law. Essentially have been since 1863 with the first General Order 100, the Lieber Code. Okay, with Lincoln. This is where we're at. We're stuck here. So let's go. Let's do something about this. A lot of people talk about the multi-million. Well, what can we do about it? This is it. This is it. This is the legitimate, lawful way to do this stuff. This has the support of Trump and the military, the good guys' military, not the corrupt military-industrial complex NATO. Okay? Now, I haven't even been on here. So this definitely looks different from the last time I was on here, even from Monday night. So, as Estrie said, on Thursday, looks like join us this Thursday evening in our National Assembly conference call. Let me see what this is. Does it work? There we go. Oh, here we go. Please join our National Assembly conference call. This is every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And so the very first part of this stuff, and for those that are new or that don't quite get how this works, please keep yourself muted at all times unless you're going to speak. And if you're going to speak, you have to ask for the floor. This is called decorum. Okay? Common decency, how we run things here, how things in general work throughout government. Okay? It's called decorum, common decency and respect. If you want to speak, you have to ask for it. There's a moderator who's controlling this meeting. Or the same thing with, sessions of the legislature. You want to go in and address the legislature, you have to wait till it's your turn. And you're called upon, and then you get to speak for a certain amount of time. It's a decorum. You can't just start speaking out of turn and without being given the floor. So the first part there, we do like a roll call for the states that are present. Now, if there is a coordinator for the state, what I actually would like to recommend to them is make the announcement in the beginning is the first time around for the states, if you're not a coordinator or a representative of that particular state, do not say anything. The second time around, if nobody speaks up, the first time around, speak up. If you're new on the call and you may be new for the state, speak up on the second time around. But allow the coordinator or moderator or some other official from that state speak up for being present. And then once we get through all of that, then we get into the education part of the call, because this whole thing is really about education. It's just another opportunity for education and trying to bring the people together to reassemble. And as of late, I've been doing a lot of the presentations, given the amount of knowledge that I have and what's the change that's happened with the National Assembly calls is wanting people that actually have knowledge to teach from instead of being willy-nilly. And it gets pretty chaotic when we don't have it structured like that. So I'm glad that change was made and that I was offered the opportunity to just another night of the week for me to provide education. And I try to curtail things for the National Assembly conference call there, the education part, that pertains to things that we really need to know, like this last Thursday about the laws of nature and showing the Declaration of Independence, showing Bouvet's Law Dictionary, defining what the laws of nature is, and then Blackstone's commentaries on the law of England. And I got it down to like 1 hour. And, I've been reading this stuff and presenting that particular stuff quite a few times. In fact, I've done like 8 episodes on Blackstone's commentaries on the law of England, Monday Night Laws, 2 hours apiece on just nothing but Blackstone's commentaries on the law of England. So it's there's a lot to try and take in there, but I tried to summarize it as short and as clear as possible and be able to break it down so Grandma can understand it at the same time, it's really difficult because it's a pretty heavy subject, because it's at the root of all law. But again, trying to get back to educating the people on what we need to know, so when we assemble and we go into interim and we're waiting for Trump to, do what he needs to get done to take down the corruption and then say, here you go. Here you go, people. Be self-governed. This is the way our republic is set up. Of the people, by the people, for the people. We don't have different classes of people. I mean, technically speaking, we actually do. Those 3 different statuses. You're either an inhabitant, or you're one of the people of one of the states of the United States that have joined the Union, or you are a citizen, which is a public servant. So that tosses out sovereign citizen crap. But that's it, folks. It's up to us. If this is how our Confederate Republic was set up, is the power belongs to the people. It's even in the Law of Nations there, Book 1, right in the very beginning there of Book 1, Chapter 1. I think it's, Section 3. Maybe 4. I keep getting mixed up on that one. But it's, the people is the sovereign body politic, which even last night on the call there was in Blackstone's commentaries on the law of England about the people being the sovereign body politic. So this is, what we need to do here. The people are the sovereign body. Policy, creating policy. Now this comes before the Constitution, folks. This is how it works. Now, Qualifications to be an assembly member must be over 16, technically should be over 18 of lawful age. But, reading from the website, be a resident. This is a requirement right in the Constitution itself, but as well as Law of Nations, Book 1, Chapter 19, subsection 213. You're either an inhabitant or you're a resident, one of the people. What it means to be a resident is you've declared your status that you intend to settle here, and you now are a resident. Now you can qualify to be one of the people, claim your political power, your rights, political rights, and depending on how long you've lived here, you may be qualified to be elected to certain positions in government, in law. So this is what we're looking for. Exhibit common sense, intelligence, good character, and sound judgment. Cannot have been convicted of any crime. I don't know about that one, but cannot be holding title of nobility or attorney of the bar, or be a public official. Must autograph under oath declaration of unalienable rights. Well, there shouldn't be autograph. That should be signature, sign of nature. Autograph is something a baseball player or a football player does, so might want to get that corrected, whoever's in charge of the website here. Must sign under oath. Signature is sign of nature. Only man is sign of nature. Again, autograph is somebody in the, sports section. Can I get your autograph? You don't say, can I get your signature? No, you ask for autograph. That's what this is really about here, is that it's a covenant between God, between man and God, to uphold God's law. And then the oath, maxim of law right out of the Bible. There's no firmer bond among men than an oath. So the oath is between your fellow man to uphold the covenant you make with God, to uphold God's law. That's how our republic works. We, the people, require that, so we have a virtuous society, a virtuous government. It's about virtue. Now, on this website here, and I believe they've got the link to my Telegram channel, which is private now, fixed there. There's to Jason's the People's Authority, and the Telegram channel. So this is my website, kirkslawcorner.com. That's my private Telegram channel, where I do a lot of my stuff is through Telegram. I've had basically no censorship through Telegram. So I predominantly post stuff and do most of my work and stuff through Telegram. Yes, I still have my Facebook page. Yes, I have a Rumble channel. Yes, I have an X account. I even have a Truth Social account. But I'm not very active on that. I'm very, very active on Telegram. So, and I'm guessing kind of the same thing with you and your Telegram channel.
Yeah, I'm usually just on Telegram and X. I got rid of my True Social. I don't even do Facebook. But yeah, X and Telegram, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I do actually, to add on to this restore-america.org, I'm like leery about doing one more screen share. I have a video. It's only a minute and a half. But did you hear, Kirk, as we're kind of wrapping up here, when Trump won and he was doing his speech, I know he said a lot, but did you happen to catch a certain thing that he actually said in there regarding restoring America? Did you catch that? Because
Yeah, actually I did.
Did you? Because I've done some quick digging, and a lot of people who listen to a lot of Trump's speeches, nobody has ever remembered Trump in the past ever using the phrase restoring America. And all of a sudden, restore-America went live, what? Or restore-america.org went live like what? A month and a half ago now?
About a month ago, yeah.
About a month ago. And now all of a sudden, Mr. Trump, commander-in-chief, and if your administration's watching, howdy, glad you're here. Me and Desiree talked about this. It's almost as if he is giving us recognition that, hey, I see you. We're because again, they know we're here.
Yeah.
But Trump has never used that term, restore America. He's never said that.
Well, just to let that little tidbit out, but back in the day when my partner Chris was still here, I was a little leery about Trump and Trump administration watching our shows. And I'm like, man, the Trump administration, they're not watching our shows. Some redneck from Podunk, Idaho. And I've recently told this story again. But the fact is we were looking at the analytics in the after show on Facebook, and it showed that England was in the top 5 of viewership while we were live. And I'm like, Chris was going over it and had it on the screen. And I said, hey, Chris, who's there in the 5th position? And he looks and he's like, United Kingdom. I'm like, who's over in England right now? Somebody popped up, Trump's over in England right now. And I'm like, what a coincidence. The first time and the only time that's been in the top 10 viewership. So then I'm like, okay, whatever, maybe, all right. But let's kind of put it to a test. And we put out there and said, okay, Trump, if you're actually watching our shows, a freaking redneck from Podunk, Idaho over here, say something like kangaroo courts, and there was another one I said, and 2 weeks later he came out and said, oh yeah, these are nothing but kangaroo courts.
That's awesome.
My jaw freaking fell on the ground. I'm like, no way. Because he never said anything about kangaroo courts before.
No.
I talked about kangaroo courts before because I found it in Black's Law Dictionary about kangaroo courts. And so that's what I started calling them, de facto kangaroo courts. And so I'm like, okay, maybe. And then I got informed by Chris. He's like, look, he's had conversations with some of these people, and they flat out said that they're watching. And then my U.S. Marshal friend came and said, yes, U.S. Marshals are watching and learning from me. And this was even after Chris was murdered there, and was told to keep going because there are certain people that are watching and learning from me.
Yep.
Because the way I teach it, what I do is I bring up the letter of the law as it is written, read from it, and break it down so Grandma can understand it. And I put all these pieces of the puzzle together to paint this bigger picture so that people can get a better visual picture of what's really going on, or the way things are supposed to be. What certain parts of the Constitution mean based on these other facts of law and history of law. Why that part of the Constitution is written the way it is, and supplying the evidence to back it up. Putting those pieces of the puzzle together for them. And I'm like, okay, all right, because I did. At the time there, I was pretty devastated. And I kind of wanted to just take a break for a little bit. And I kept going for a while. And then I had just gotten to the point where I need a break. I really needed a break. It'd been years. At that time, we'd been doing lives Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday nights. 3 nights a week. And so I just needed a break. I needed to, just to step away for a little bit for about 10 months. Focused on my own personal life and family, and, just kind of got to some normalcy again in my brain, and kind of a reset, So, yeah, and I've been back ever since.
It's funny you say that about the analytics. Just in October, last month, was it last month or September? I was telling somebody here in our assembly about this. In fact, I was going to tell you, I told you about this before we went live about how I pissed off TikTok. And I did a video. It was like maybe 8, 9 minutes long, possibly 10, but right at the max, basically discussing General Order 100 and breaking that down and what that was and why that's important. And anyway, TikTok ended up taking it down. And of course, they gave me the strike saying, oh, you do one more of these, because I had a couple other strikes. You do one more of these, you're going to lose access to your account altogether. And finally, they took it down. And so basically, to kind of sum up a long story short, I did a separate video, 2 minutes long. I said, you know what, TikTok, you, and I'm just paraphrasing here now, but you and your communist bullshit can go to hell and go pound sand. What I gave you in that last video about General Order 100 was all factual, was evidence. There was evidence. I did not espouse anything that was fake. It's all reference. You can go and even find it yourself. And I said, but you know what? That's okay. It's no wonder a lot of big influencers are leaving TikTok and going to, dare I say, YouTube. So you know what? You and your communistic ideas can go pound sand. Well, guess what happened? So I did an appeal on that video. 30 minutes later, they reinstituted it, took all my strikes off. All that red text and exclamation marks went away. I was like, well, holy crap. But here's what was interesting. Then on Podbean, on the back end, on my analytics, before I started doing video streaming on OBS, thanks for that, Kirk. You created a monster on that. But out of nowhere, China popped up on my analytics. 152 downloads. Now, in 2.5 years of doing this podcast, Kirk, never saw China come up on the map.
Yeah.
I've seen Indonesia, Russia, United Arab Emirates, England for sure, right? The UK, Mexico, I've counted over 90 countries, never China. Now, all of a sudden, after that happened, the next day, I see a ton of downloads, 152. I'm like, oh,
wow.
I just pissed somebody off or got somebody's attention over there. I don't know who.
Right.
But I found it interesting. And then the other thing I found interesting on the analytics is Delaware, the state of Delaware. All right. Well, where the hell is so-called Biden from, right? Delaware. I don't know what's in Delaware, but out of nowhere, Michigan, typically Michigan, California, Georgia, Illinois, and Missouri are typically the top 5 states that download the show. Delaware, in that same month that I had that China blip, Delaware was number 1 in downloads with over 1,000 downloads. I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Somebody's paying attention to something somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So let me see. I'll try to pull my YouTube back up, asking for the link to that. This website. And the other thing here is this is done through free conference call. You guys didn't get the link on the website there. So I'm going to go to the national-assembly.net website, which right here, conference call info. There's this tab up here in the upper left-hand corner, right next to the home tab. That's going to take you over here. Now, I highly, 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 highly recommend people download and install the free conference call app. It will make things so much easier. And especially when it comes to the presentations where I screen share or anybody else screen shares, you can actually see the screen. So just like tonight, you'll be able to see the videos. It's the same thing on the free conference call app. It works exactly like Zoom does. So this tab takes you to the free conference call. Now, free conference call is the actual name of the app. Now, here's the 2 YouTube videos for tutorials on how to download and install it on your smartphones and on your desktop laptops. Down here where it says join the online meeting, this is the link. Okay? And the first time that you click on that after you've installed your free conference call app, it will save it in there so you don't have to come back here for this, and you just click on the join, then join the free conference call National Assembly, the call. And remember, when you get in there, make sure you keep yourself muted.
Please.
And again, this call is every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Now, for this restore, I'll get this other one here. And actually, I'm going to put this one on there too. Links to this. How do I get it? That's in the live chat. Oh, the comments aren't even open yet. Only the live chat is going for 4 comments. I mean, I can drop it in there, but what I'll do is afterwards, once it YouTube opens up for... Oh, crap. Let me switch accounts here. Maybe it will. Nope, still does the same thing. It's about the live. And, okay, here we go. Live chat. Paste. Okay, this is the National Assembly link. And I'm going to put the restore-america.org link in there as well. And then once the live is ended, I will do that and put it in the comment section. And actually, I'll see if I can't put it in the description up top. But as of right now, I can't edit the title or any of that stuff. So I will get that in there, okay, folks? Hey, look, it showed up over here on my Streamlabs. I see this. Yes. My Streamlabs is the broadcasting software, and it has the chat in here from Facebook and YouTube. So unless I actually open it up over here, and then over on my third screen over here, I have Rumble open, and I have the Telegram open. So I see the Telegram chat, I see the Rumble chat on that screen over there, and then this screen over here has the Streamlabs broadcasting software that has the chat from Facebook and YouTube. So I have a total of 3 screens that I look at here. So that's why you see me always looking back and forth, looking around, and get a little bit distracted. I still hear you, but unless I'm like 100% focused, sometimes I'll miss something. But
you need blue light glasses, man. We both do.
Need what?
We need blue light glasses for all the screens we're looking at. I'm telling you.
Well, yeah. Actually, my screens have a deal in there where I can reduce the blue light. So I've already activated those, but you know, some people make comments about these bags under my eyes, and it's from sitting here looking at these freaking screens.
Yep.
It kind of goes away a little bit once like this summer, man. I've been busy outside working all day and remodeling the house next door, so that's taken me away from my computer, sitting here in front of my computer, and getting me outside, getting me in the sun and working and that kind of good stuff. So
well, back to like what you said before we close out, Kirk. I was telling you this earlier, but I'll share this with everybody. I'll just say this little story. There's a new guy that I'm training. He's a young guy, 29. And there's a few of us in our fleet that when there's an unjust situation that comes up, there's only a handful of us that actually bring it up. And we actually go against the grain, and we'll call our boss and his boss and anybody above them to the carpet because we don't care. And I say that not to sound like we're Billy Badass. That's not what I'm saying. But we also will hold our superiors accountable. the new guy that I'm training was like, "Well, I'm glad there's guys like you in the company." He said this to me and another gentleman that's just like me. And his next comment kind of actually concerned me because it got me thinking. Because his next comment was, because people like me wouldn't do stuff like that. And by stuff like that, I mean, like, one little example, during 2020, during COVID, the scamdemic, right? I wrote a letter to the corporate headquarters of where I work, 6-page letter, basically telling them, I'm not wearing this mask. Here's why. Laid out the evidence, laid out everything from OSHA, like legit, laid it out. It went through every rung of the ladder at corporate. They didn't know what to do with it, and eventually ended up going to the to the legal department in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, I ended up getting my answer. They basically said, my boss's boss said, Jason, I appreciate what you did here. I really do. I actually respect you for doing it. My whole family thought I was nuts because they all thought I was going to lose my job. I said, so be it. Don't care. Willing to take that chance. I'm not going to bend a knee. Long story short, I just flat out told them, you're just going to have to fire me because I'm still not going to comply. Yeah, you could tell me I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not complying. Fire me. Obviously, I'm still working there. Well, this guy said, people like me will never do stuff like that. And I told him, I said, because he even willingly admitted, I am a blissfully willful, ignorant person. And his thought process is, what can I do? So I feel like, and this is what he's telling me, I feel like I can't do anything because I'm just one person. And I said, that's the very damn mindset that got us in this damn problem to begin with. Because there's too many people who think just like you. I said, you'd be surprised what one person can do. And my wife reminded me when I was actually talking with Kirk one-on-one earlier over the phone. My wife said, look at Jesus. Not to compare ourselves to Jesus. That's not what I'm getting at, folks. But
Right.
She said, look at Jesus and the 12 apostles. When they crucified him on that cross, it took 12 men to spread the message. And now look where Christianity's at today.
Just talking about the 12 apostles, what kind of guys were these people?
Tax collectors.
The 12 apostles.
Right? I mean, they were fishermen, tax collectors. What else?
Yeah, but they weren't perfect people.
No. They were just
Thieves.
Yeah, they were everyday common man.
And Jesus took them in. So it's like, dude.
I guess I share that story to say that.
Again, we're all sinners, right? And
oh yeah.
I'm by far perfect.
Oh.
I definitely have cleaned myself up and gotten myself into a better state of mind over the last 30 years. This isn't something that when I talk about getting myself cleaned up, I talk about getting sober March 27th of 1999.
That's awesome. Congrats.
So, working on myself and those kinds of things over the years. And God still works on me all the time, on a freaking daily basis. But I'm definitely a changed man from where I was at 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. Just having that epiphany of, wait a minute, we've all been lied to, including our police officers, our sheriffs, our judges. Okay, granted, there's some definitely evil, satanic people, judges and stuff that's out there. But for the generally speaking, just been taught wrong and led to believe that this is all legitimate and do your job. It's what you're paid to do. You're a hired police officer. Go do this. You're a sheriff deputy, whatever. This is what you got to do, right? So that's what helped me quite a few years ago about, Jesus tells us about having compassion for our fellow man. I'm like, oh man, You mean I can't get all pissed off at these guys when they violate my rights and talk stupid shit? Yeah, come on. Come on. All right, all right. Softened my heart, changed my mind, and getting to a point where it doesn't bother me. Like I just get it. I just like, okay, you're one of those ones that's been brainwashed and indoctrinated. You haven't gotten it yet. And sometimes now I'll say something to the effect of, oh, you're one of those ones that has to learn the hard way. After I've tried to explain to you some things, and you still don't want to listen, you don't want to get it, and you want to call me a sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
Okay, you're one of those ones that's gotta learn the hard way, because I'm gonna educate you, and you're gonna learn the hard way. That's just the way it is. I'm not gonna get all upset and flail around and get all crazy and that kind of stuff. I'm done with that. I just smile. Oh, you're one of those ones got to learn the hard way. Okay, you want to play that game with me? All right, I'll learn you. I'll school you. You're gonna learn one way or another. So that's that's one of the biggest things that has reduced a crap ton of stress in my life when dealing with public servants and that kind of stuff, is having that compassion for my fellow man and understanding that, well, we've all been lied to, including myself, right? I didn't know this stuff until I started studying and reading it. Reading means reading for myself, figuring this out for myself. So that's what I try to do now. That's why I'm here, trying to educate my fellow man with the truth. And we need to unlearn all the stuff we've been brainwashed and indoctrinated to believe, and then relearn the truth. So that's what I'm here for, trying to help the people, trying to help mankind. And it doesn't matter what nation, state, country you're from. The laws of nature apply equally everywhere. This is fundamental, self-evident. Do you have to hit your thumb with a hammer to know that it's going to hurt? Type self-evident. So
You know what you're doing, Kirk? You're serving the people. What did Jesus teach us to do by the demonstration of washing of feet?
yeah,
He served. He said it's all about service to others, and that's what
It
you're
is.
doing. It's service to others.
yeah. I didn't really look at it like that, but or think about it like that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm in service to God.
Yep.
And doing God's work here in His will. Again, I'm still a sinner. I do stupid stuff sometimes. But I kind of on the straight and narrow, trying to do the right thing and trying to follow what God has His plans for me. Which, again, I thought this was all just going to be, when I started all this, was for me. So that I wouldn't get screwed like this again. I had never envisioned myself sitting here on a Friday night at 9:15, hanging out with a brother, fellow brother here, for 2 hours talking about history of law and current events and what we can do to take back our power. I was a shy, quiet kind of guy. There's no way I could do public speaking. I was on Blog Talk Radio for a year and a half before I got the courage to do a live on Facebook. And that was because of another gentleman, Ted Fogg. He was broadcasting stuff, and I called in on one of them, and he's like, "Dude, I'll promote your stuff, or I'll produce your stuff for you." I'm like, "What?" Well, I don't know if I want to show my face. I don't know. But I'd had a year and a half on Blog Talk Radio, which was just audio. So I started kind of getting comfortable with speaking. And I'm like, oh, all right. And here I am now. It's like, dude, I'll speak anywhere. I don't care how big a crowd it is.
And you were the guy telling me, get the hell off Podbean. Now look what you freaking done. Now I'm on OBS doing freaking YouTubes now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it was a good conversation. Back to what you were saying about how we're transformed. Assembly member here in Michigan said this not that long ago on one of my last lives. We're Christians under construction. Always. Always being worked on.
Yep.
And always will be till we take our last breath.
Yep. No man shall know it all.
Nope.
I'm sure given one heck of a try. At least on a particular subject, but it's too vast. I can't even begin to get it all. But that's just a joke that I'm trying to get it all. But I definitely do a lot of reading, which is something I never did as a kid through high school, half of my adult life. Law is pretty much all I read. Maybe some auto mechanic manuals and that kind of stuff, but regular reading, that kind of no.
Really? You don't read Harry Potter?
All right, here's my books. Quills, Bills, and Stills, an annotated, illustrated, and illuminated history of the Bill of Rights.
That's hot.
Chris Ann Hall's Sovereign Duty. Thomas Hobbes, Man and Citizen. Freedom's Anchor, Andrew Napolitano, An Introduction to Natural Law, Jurisprudence, and American Constitutional History. Fruit from a Poisonous Tree.
That's a good one.
Lex Parliamentary Americana, Elements of the Law and Practice of Legislative Assemblies, United States of America. These are all books that are sitting right here next to me on my desk. This is the documents illustrated with the formation of the Union of the United States of America. And then, of course, my Bible, my Founder's Bible. Then, of course, down here, thanks to Jack's, the actual 4 books of Blackstone's commentaries on the law of England.
Wow.
Now, we don't even want to talk about the books that I have at the office, the 3 bookcases full of law books. But these are ones that I peruse from right here at my desk. Not to mention what I have in PDF, which is vast amount of books on my computer. Bouvet's Law Dictionary, Black's Law Dictionaries, American Jurisprudence, Joseph Story's Commentaries on the Constitution, Essay on Tribal Jury, Lysander Spooner, The Law of Nations, other Mason's Manual, other manuals of legislative procedures, records of the Federal Convention of 1787. Let's see, what else we got here? Rosenstock, Scott Lauder, Spirit of Law, Montesquieu, which, those 2 books are right down here too. Wooden Lectures. Man, there's just so much here. A Treatise on Trial by Jury. Adams' Origin of the Common Law, 1924. Adams' Origin of the English Courts, 1921. Application of the Clean Hands Doctrine. Treatise on Arrest and False Imprisonment, one of my ultimate favorites. I mean, there's just so much.
Very studious guy.
There's just so many. Treatise on Limitation on Police Power. Treatise on the Law of Malicious Prosecutions. The Corruption Business of Child Protective Services. Constitution of England. Government of the People of the United States of America. Young American, or Book of Government and Law. Here's a good one. The Right to Keep and Bear Arms book. Which originally, when I first thought about that, was about the Second Amendment. Well, yes and no. but it also exposes the origin of the policy. It's pronounced policy officers. Man. And this is just one folder of books on my computer. That's just one folder. I call it law books. But then I have all these other ones that are not even in a folder. That's just one folder labeled law books. And that's a fairly recent folder. I've been dumping them in there so I know where to go find them. Well, I want to thank you, brother, for joining me tonight. It's been a pleasure, as usual.
Likewise.
And I'm sure that a lot of the people out there, hey, Fix It Fast. Good to see you, brother. And I forgot to mention Scrimshaw. Good to see you on here tonight. We need to be probably doing this more often.
Agreed.
And like we had talked about before, that your schedule had changed and your will be available for Friday nights. So, maybe it's the comeback of Friday Night Fun Night.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. I'm trying not to spread myself too thin. I've been trying to. That's why I kind of drew back on doing lives. I don't know if you knew this. My wife's pregnant, so
it wasn't me.
Okay, Shaggy. It wasn't me. But yeah, no, I mean, even
congratulations to you too.
Thank
your family.
you. Yeah, it's been a hard road because six miscarriages. That gets a little tough for the wife, and one of them being
What's your wife's first name?
Katie.
Katie.
Yep.
All right, all you prayer warriors out there. Let's put a hedge of protection around Katie here, and let's pray for Katie that this is divine, and it is meant to be, and that you protect this child in the womb, that evil is not able to get in there and penetrate this womb and cause another miscarriage, that this comes to fruition, that this is your will, Lord, and in your name, almighty name, please bless this child and this woman, Katie, and Jason as well, and bring another child into this world.
Yeah. Amen.
Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's she hit 12 weeks today, so that's good. So she's at 12 weeks. So I've been trying to equal out, trying to find a happy medium, because I've been trying to help out like Lisa in Georgia and Destry doing these video projects, and I've been trying to balance properly because I don't want to take away from my daughter. It's like, man, so I'm trying to find that happy medium. Trying to find that happy medium.
It's difficult. It's difficult with a family.
It really.
I mean, I have a hard enough time being over here single by myself, juggling my own stuff, personal stuff, my family stuff, and trying to maintain this.
Yeah.
But I really, really rely on God to give me what He wants me to speak, and like it says in the Bible, that He will give us what to speak within the hour. So I have people all the time asking me, well, what are you going to talk about tonight on Monday Night Law? Or what are you going to talk about tomorrow on Monday Night Law? And I'm like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the way I've been since the inception, really. I mean, there are some times where I'm like, I'm going to talk about this or something, and I totally forget. Because it just doesn't work that way.
No.
I sit down, and it's 5 minutes before even, it's like, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. And I just, walk in the Spirit here, and whatever we end up talking about, it comes up. Sometimes it gets spurred from comments. And it just goes down that road. That's why I'm watching comments now, and, really try to pay attention to see where people, where God's trying to lead us here. And I say us because we're all in this together. So, like I always say, leaders lead by example.
Yes.
So, I'm here trying to be an example as as not only God's servant, but a servant of the people, like you were saying. And again, I didn't really look at it that way, but I am. I mean, ultimately, who is listening? The people.
That's right.
What's happening here? They're learning. And some of this stuff I'm learning as I go too. So, like I've said that for years, is sometimes I'll be reading this stuff and I'm like, okay, just got done reading this, so that's what I'm going to present on Monday Night Law. So I'm reading and learning at the same time as I'm out here sharing it with you folks. So, granted, there's definitely a lot of stuff that I've committed to memory up here, which I thank God for this great mind he's given me, because, man, I never thought I'd be able to memorize some of this stuff. Carl Miller talking about that stuff. Oh, we need to commit this to memory. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm starting to get a little on the older side here. I don't know how well my memory's going to work. God says, there you go.
Downloaded.
We're gonna maintain your memory bank here. And some people say, oh, I have a photographic memory. It's just I just remember what I read. That's the way I've been since high school. Reading with 400 words per minute with better than 85% comprehension.
That's pretty good.
They thought I was cheating. I had the reading machine there, and so they set it up one time there, and had a couple people around and the teachers and stuff, and they watched me. 400 words per minute, run it through the reading machine, and then answer the questions on the test, and then go, well, he didn't cheat. We all watched. Better than 85% comprehension. Now, reading law stuff, it's a little bit more heavy to just like a regular story, sure. But once you get into this enough, you start, and then that's another thing about reading, is you start reading this stuff from history. You start getting their mannerisms and the feelings and emotions behind this stuff, of why this was done. Why this is written in this Bill of Rights, or why this is written in the Declaration of Rights or in the Constitution. Why that stuff was written the way it was written. Mm-hmm. And then the actual verbiage. This has extremely helped me with my language, because that's my worst subject. Math is my strong suit. The English language is my worst. So that's really... And probably why, because I didn't do any reading when I was a kid. Now it makes sense to me. If I'd have done more reading, I probably would have been better in English. So, all right, folks. I think it's about that time, and I'm sorry I forgot to push that record button, but I will download it off of YouTube. It'll be just fine. YouTube does a pretty good job.
Cool.
The audio video quality, I don't know how I'm going to separate audio and video, though. Shoot, that was the whole beauty of recording through.
Yeah, we'll get it figured out. I'm not too worried about it.
All right.
If I have to, I'll let my phone just record it. I'll just do a 2.5 hour screen record. I'll capture like that. Works like a charm.
Yeah, that works too, right? Yep.
Well, I appreciate you having me on here, man. It was a good conversation, good dialogue, and yeah, we definitely need to do more of these for sure, without a doubt.
Without a doubt, brother. Yep. Thank you again for being here, and thank everybody else for being here. Please pray for Jason and Katie.
Thank you.
For the child's well-being in the womb, and that this just be a blessing of God for your family. And man, we really need to come together, people. We have to do this. We can't just let our republic go.
Nope.
And I don't want to be under this martial law, and I don't want to leave this to future generations. We got to do something about it. This is it. Reassemble government de jure. Let's do this, folks. We can do this. We, the people, can do this. We will work together. We will educate together. Okay? God bless everybody. God bless America. God bless the world. Thank you again, Jason.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Katie, for allowing your husband to be here tonight. Doing God's work.
Yes, sir.
Amen, brother.
Amen. Well, you have a good night. Till next time.
All right. Thank you, brother. And maybe we'll see you next Friday night, folks.
Very well. Very, very possible. All right. We'll see you. Have a good night, everyone.